Welcome to Christian Authors Community. We are authors helping authors. We get together once a week and have a roundtable discussion about how we can use our platforms to further the spread of the gospel of Jesus Christ. If you want to learn more about what we do or how to join us, head on over to our website at authorscommunity.net. Let's jump into today's meeting.
So this morning I'm going to talk about Kindle Vella, which is a program that Amazon started about, I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe. And it's a drop by drop, a way that you can drop books or, well, basically, I'm just going to say books, chapter by chapter, because that just makes it easier. Think of it like a TV series. Okay, that you're dropping one section at a time, another section at a time. I've used it. I attempted to put 2 books up, and one of them they didn't accept because I had published it prior. Actually, I've published both of those books prior. And for some reason, while you can do an ebook, an audiobook, paperback, or hardcover, and that's okay. It's not all right to publish in Vella. I think they're looking for new material and material kind of as it's being written. So I attempted to put up my first book, Life at Mimosa Lake, the first one, and I got about 3 chapters up, and they blocked it. But I had a lot of readers on that. I just went yesterday and looked back at my numbers, and I had quite a number of readers on that one, more than the other book that I have up there, which is Soul Searching, which I had was in the process of having re-edited. And so that book has, I think, 12 or 13 chapters. And for me, you can do it either way. You can do a drop by drop and time out your drops, and we'll look at this in a few minutes. So you can determine, I'm going to put out a chapter a week or a chapter every 2 weeks, kind of thing. And then set a date at the end of your chapters when the next one will come out. So the point is to gather people in the series so that they're attracted to that, and they know that every Sunday or Monday or whenever that's going to drop, and they'll be able to read that series. So you publish what they say are episodes or chapters, and they're written on a set schedule is better than just one here, one there. For that reason, you're trying to build a different kind of readership. And that's what interested me in it. Is there a different type of reader that I could possibly interest and draw back to my other work? So that's what we did. So let's see. I'm going to try to share the screen here and show you. How many of you, will you just raise your hands? How many of you are on, have a KDP account already? So some of you will be familiar with this and some of you won't. You need to have a KDP account. And does everybody know Kindle Direct Publishing? That's Amazon's publishing wing. So you need to set up an account with Amazon if you don't have, in order to have access to Kindle Vella.
Kim, while you're looking,
Yeah.
I'll ask a question. Maybe you can address it at the end if you know anything about it. A+ content. Is anyone familiar with what that is? It's all Kindle or Amazon Kindle.
I am not.
And I just ran across it this week, and it's tied into your author page on Amazon, but it's additional level, more advanced type marketing stuff that you can put in there. So I was just curious about it. Never mind.
Does anyone know what that is, A+ content? But that's something, Phil, it's a good point. I'll look that up and I'll try to figure out what that is. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
You can't.
I'll tell you a little bit about A+ content if you want the 90-foot level explanation. It's basically just a way for you to put advanced marketing content on your book sales page. So additional graphics, additional videos, longer descriptions. If you've ever gone to Amazon and shopped before, you'll see that some products have just the standard landing page, and then you'll see, if you scroll down about halfway, you'll see an advanced a bunch of additional information. Maybe it's infographics, maybe it's a bunch of sales copy or whatever. That's basically what it is. It's just additional sales things that help you sell your book. So videos, infographics, more explanation. That's what it is.
Now, what this is I'm inside my account with KDP. Okay. So you'll see down here, these are books I've published. These, some of them are in setup, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But these are published as paperbacks or ebooks or whatever. Okay. At the top, when you set up an account, they'll give you what's called a bookshelf right up here. Okay. So this is my bookshelf in essence. And how you get to Kindle Vella, and those of you that are on who have a bookshelf know this, it's at the top of your screen here where it says, well, I'm going into not create, but manage your Kindle Vella stories. So I'm going to go into visit Kindle Vella to just show you what it kind of looks like. Once you visit Kindle Vella, it will say you can start a story. Okay. So I'm not wanting to start a story. You'll see my little life at Melissa like block down there. Or you can manage your story, which means you can add to it. So I'm going to hit manage my story and I'll just show you how that works. So what they ask you to do is put up which I need to change this, put up a small graphic for the top for your cover of your book. I was a little unprepared for this. You do not put up a cover with writing on it. It's just a little picture to draw. That's what it is, to draw your readers. So there's no titling on it or anything. They do that. Okay. So then they ask for a general description of your book. Okay. And then you put in your story tags, your categories like you do every book. And then you can publish your books. Here's one I just did yesterday to try to show you how it would be to look at this. So I would be, my book is finished, but I would be on episode 14 if I were going to do something. So you title your episode here. It's really not difficult. And then you can begin writing in here. And what I did was I just copied and pasted it, but there were a little bit of extra garbage in the formatting. So I just went through and made sure that there was spacing was right. And then I'd save it. And then this is very important, and this is what they stress too, additional author notes. They ask if you will write something to your readers to draw them in. Okay, so you write an author's note about it. And then this poll down here, something new that they have now, so that you can give them questions about your book, and then you can type answers, and it's a way to kind of draw the reader in and build your audience a little bit. 3 or 4 questions you can put in there, and then give them some options of choices so you can make your own little poll. Okay. All right. About what the story is or you're interested in. Okay. So then this is your close date on your poll. Then you preview it to make sure it looks good. Okay. And then you can do a release date. And this is where your scheduled releases. So you can schedule it to a certain day. So you can drop a bunch of them and then just schedule them out. And it will tell you what is in there. Okay. All right. Now here, can everybody see this tokens needed to unlock this episode? Everybody see that, right? Okay. This is the way that it's paid for, basically. So what Amazon will do is give readers 2 to 3 episodes, and then they can purchase tokens. Okay. And they'll also offer people tokens. So it's like 200 tokens are worth $1.99, and they go up in price. Okay. So initially they give them to readers at a lower price, and then you can buy however many tokens that you need. Now the tokens are spent. You get 3 free episodes, let's just say. So you'd get the first 3 chapters just long enough to hook you, basically. But you'll see that here on chapter 5, MIAA, the little token key says it's 38. Okay. And here on 6, it's 28. Okay. So they attach this to word count. is what they do. So by the time that a reader is at chapter 5, they have to pay 38 tokens in order to read it. Okay. So it's a monetized system. And then as an author, you get, Amazon's rate is about half. You get about half of what tokens they bring in. Okay. So any questions on this? Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't see your screen, but I have read some Kindle Vella, and have, come across the token thing. And I was curious about that because I've come to the place where it says, okay, you need so many tokens, and I click that, but I've never ever seen where I've paid for it. And I'm reading somebody who I know. I'm just wondering if somehow she's not charging me. I mean, I don't know how that would work, but I've never seen any money come out where I've paid for those tokens.
They're not, the author isn't charging you, Amazon's charging you. So they're not charging you on some account that you have or anything?
I've never seen it. So I just click yes and go on to read, but I've never seen how I've actually paid for that.
Kim, Phil speaking. The author notes, are those notes written to your genre readers who are already familiar with you, or is it something more of a general market type of?
I wrote my notes about the book. I would say, well, Mercedes Beecher is the character. Mercedes has gotten herself into a pickle this week, blah, blah, blah. How will this work for her? That kind of thing is what, just kind of like a conversation as if we both read it together. That's what I used, but you could put in there whatever you wanted. It's just another way to kind of hook your reader and then get them to know you in a more of a personal writer way, so.
Okay.
Anybody else? The only way to make real money on Kindle Vella would be to appear with volume. So the more you put up and the longer you stretch this series, okay, think of Ozark. I like Ozark. So they were initially they were going to do only a trilogy with Ozark, and they've stretched it into a 4th season because of its popularity. And so the longer that you stretch your work out and the more volume, the more money that you have. This is the way that, you stay up on that system longer as a new series. Think about the appetite that we seem to have for content. So if you are just writing bit by bit, blogging does not, if you would say I'm blogging on this, they'd probably boot you for that, but if you're putting something up that you could use and mask a little bit, they tend to like, which is why I put up soul searching, thriller and sci-fi and that kind of high intensity books. That's what they suggested when I went through it to put up something that is fan fiction.
An end date to the schedule?
No.
Open-ended?
You can keep it going as long as you want to. Okay. Okay. An average episode with Amazon, they'd like 600 to 5,000 words in an average episode. So that's a bit of writing. Go ahead.
So I was just asking, is it like a mini novel? And would you have to have your chapters all organized before you even start the first episode? Or can you just be spontaneous and make sure you do your work every week or whatever?
Whatever works for you. And it doesn't even have to be every week, Eileen. It can be whenever you set it. I tended to set dates because I'm that way, and I wanted something I'd already pretty much written or was in process. And I was testing it to some degree because I had the story revamped and re-edited. So I was testing it out in that way too. But I'm more comfortable having it written because weeks can get away from me. And I was trying to, build a readership there. But you can do it whatever way you want. And I know that some of them, and maybe Nancy, you know this too, some writers don't put a drop date on there. I just find that from a marketing perspective, if you have a drop date, and that tends to build interest too. So that's what I did. Go ahead.
I think an interesting use case for this platform would be if you have a book idea or a story idea, to maybe, drop 5 or 10 series and see how the reaction is to it. Like if you drop something and, nobody reads it or there's no reaction, then it may not be as good as you thought. But if you drop something and you have people that are like, hungry for, hungry for more episodes, then that could be your validation as to whether or not that story needs to be turned into a novel. I almost think that's kind of Amazon's game here, is to create a way for people just to quickly drop like short stories and stuff and see validation and then turn them into full-fledged books, KDP books and stuff.
And you will make your money for the day, Landon, from me, because that is a perfect segue into Wattpad, which is the one I dug up yesterday, which I think would be actually better for that than Kindle Vella, because Kindle Vella is somewhat restrictive. I mean, you have to be exclusive. They're more restrictive on exclusive to Amazon. They're more restrictive on word count. So if I were experimenting from what I learned yesterday, this is a good thing for all of you that are potential presenters out there, that is great about teaching. We always learn more when we teach in some ways, but with the exception of Gordon and Landon's presentations, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Wattpad. Okay, so I found Wattpad. What I liked about it is it's less restrictive. It's more of a drop. It seemed to me to give me more freedom to be able to drop what I was experimenting on. Okay, because you can use with Kindle Vella, they're wanting like longer series. This you can use vignettes, you can use short stories, you can use poetry, which had not occurred to me to drop on Kindle Vella at all. And readers are able to give feedback easier. This platform is older than Kindle Vella, so it's a good way to get writer feedback, and it's the genres are a little bit more open, I think, though they encourage writers of science fiction and fantasy, that kind of thing. So the one thing with Wattpad is they are attempting to put advertisers into stories, into author stories. Now, they will take the advertising money, but the author gets a percentage of that. With Kindle Vella, they just pay you that straight 50%, and that is that. So if you do build interest with a variety of genres on Wattpad, they'll look at you for putting some advertisement in your story. So I thought that was good. They're saying the down thing about Wattpad, I set up an account yesterday with them, is that, of course, once you've published this, then it's considered published. So you're not going to go to a publisher and say, this is unpublished material, okay? And in essence, you're putting this up for free, okay? So there's a chance you're not going to get any money for this if you're not clicked on, and just like with Kindle Vella, it's the same thing. There's an interest from other Netflix people, film people, storytellers. Some publishers have picked up people in Wattpad because what you're doing is developing a following. And so, publishers are just like anyone else if they see that there's an interest in a story. So there are some authors that began on Wattpad and have been picked up in traditional publishing too, and for film series. So that's a good thing. So it is looked at and used because I think the platform started like 2015 or 16. Okay. It's a social media platform, so you do get feedback from your readers. So toughen your skin, a little bit. You're not always going to get, everything nice and constructive? We would hope so, you know. And it is expected that you're going to, because it's somewhat social media platform, you're going to engage with your readers. So there will be time involved for you to respond back to the people that are commenting on your stories or whatever you're putting up. So just be prepared to give it away for free. I'm reading my notes a little bit here. But it is a good way to reach a different audience. Okay. So let's see. Let me see if it's not difficult. I did this in like 5 minutes, and we all know I can be technically challenged. It was much easier than setting up a KDP account in Kindle Vella.
Kim, I have a question about Vella's exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only publish the chapters on there, but if you stop publishing the chapters because you've got enough interest and you want to release the book, can the book only be released there, or can you go wide after that?
You can take it down.
Okay.
You're allowed to take it down.
Okay.
So it is Wattpad.com. Okay. It's very, very user-friendly. You go and you just set up an account. They ask just a few questions, your name and email address so they can contact you. And then they give you a home page. Okay. Your name is at the top of it. In the upper right-hand corner, it says Write, W-R-I-T-E, in a little box. And you just click on that, and you can go through and begin uploading a book. It's the same kind of format as on Kindle Vella. Okay. And Wattpad deals with, you can also upload videos on Wattpad, which I liked a lot. So if you want to upload a little trailer for what you're working on, or a little video where you speak to your readers, I liked that a lot versus just writing them a note. And that is not on Kindle Vella. Okay. Their word count is much freer. You can do, they have a suggestion around 2,000 words. Okay. But, if you're a poet, if I wanted to put some of my poetry up there, they don't, it can be 0 words to whatever. When you determine that you're going to end that session or series and publish that, then that's what's published. Okay. I like the looser restrictions because this is where I think I'll go and use it to experiment with some of my work. And it's while you're exclusive on there, you can take it down too. Okay, so I wouldn't publish on Wattpad and then go to Kindle because of Amazon's exclusivity. Okay, with that content, it is considered published. Okay, I mean, if you were going to go and publish on Wattpad and then use that material and put it into a different format, a book, a audio book, whatever, that would be fine. But you're not going to publish on Wattpad and Vella at the same time. I wouldn't do that. I think you would be blocked. I think that's what would happen. So, though I am not Amazon, but I think that would happen. So the Wattpad is paid for with coins, so it's the same kind of thing that your readers can get so much information for free or so many sessions, and then they pay the authors with coins. But I liked the interaction of Wattpad a lot better, and I liked the video feature, like really a lot. So I'm going to try Wattpad, and I can let you know what I think, and I'd encourage you to look at it too. So that's my presentation. And anybody have any questions or discussion on it? Go ahead, Gordon.
Hey guys, if you haven't checked out Wattpad, it's a great place for rough draft work. Like, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
If you invite group feedback, but my daughters used to write fan fiction and would get like 10,000 interactions. Granted, you guys are probably not writing Twilight fan fiction, but if you can find a genre and build a community in there, you can really build an audience. So that when it leads to a launch, you've gathered them in, and it's going to be easier to gather a quick community around something like that than it is to gather it real quick around your Facebook page. But it takes consistency. You're going to have to put stuff out pretty regularly, and make sure you're zeroing in on the genre. I'm sure Kim can help talk about finding that genre community. But it's just like everything else. If you're writing Christian sci-fi, you got to find the other Christian sci-fi authors on there, read their stuff, and interact with them. But Wattpad, is a great little platform for, just kind of practicing and getting some things out there and getting some feedback.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, just from not knowing anything about it, was that it's and I liked, like Gordon said, I liked the interaction. I think that's great too, because Amazon, your work goes out there and you can look at numbers of sales and stuff, but there's no way of connecting with your readers. And if you're building a market, which we're all trying to do, that becomes primary. So that's what I liked about it. And there are other platforms out there for doing this kind of work. There are a number of them, but when I looked at the other platforms, I thought, I guess it's because of the amount of time, Gordon, you might know, I don't, that Wattpad's been available.
At least 7 or 8 years. I played around with it.
2016 is what
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is really designed for like genre specific type stuff, though. I mean, it really is. I mean, you've got to know exactly who your target genre is to find it. So if you're sci-fi, dig into the sci-fi. If you're historical, you got to dig in there. But genre specific stuff does really well there.
And there are also other platforms like this that are genre specific too. Like I found a poetry platform, and so there are, if you're going to go just in that route. I just thought with the amount of people that seem to have an interest or have run through Wattpad, I thought it might be a good shot to try. So that was me. So I think for me, more of my finished work would go on Vella, and more of my test work would go on a Wattpad thing. So,
Kim, do you know if on Wattpad, whenever you like your profile on Wattpad or your signature at the end of your story or whatever, do you know if you have the ability to send them off-site to like your website or something like that? Because I'm almost certain that you wouldn't be able to do that on Amazon.
No, you can embed links.
Okay.
They allow that. They do. Yeah.
So there's an interesting opportunity there to just like with everything else Amazon puts out, they are very much interested in keeping the readers inside their ecosystem. So that would be a key difference. Like if you want to connect with your reader on your website or your social media, or get them off of the platform into your own environment, then Wattpad may be more interesting to you. If you're perfectly suitable or perfectly fine with being inside the Amazon ecosystem, and you want them to be able to click over to your Amazon author page and see your other books and buy some KDP books or ebooks or whatever, then Vella may be more interesting to you. I think that's always going to be the key difference between anything Amazon puts out, is they want to keep people inside their ecosystem.
Yeah, and as you stretch yourself as a writer, you may decide that there are some things you want on Amazon, but there are other platforms and other genres and other ways that in this genre might work better for you if you did, a Wattpad, or if you went through Ingram Spark and expanded your ebook. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to go. I just liked Wattpad because it seemed like you could experiment more, and I think that's a great thing. So, hey, other comments, questions?
We were talking a while ago about measuring readers' interest. Can that only be done by the amount of coins that are spent? Because I didn't see any place where people could comment.
There isn't. You don't get that feedback on Vella. The only way that I know the interest is like the name's going to escape me, but basically like when in your accounts, you know, when you can look and see what book is sold for this, what that kind of thing, you can, they have that within your account of what's sold on, and the interest in which book is which. That's how I found out that really the Life at Mimosa Lake had generated initially a lot more interest than Soul Searching did. Well, now Soul Searching's been on there for a while, but that's the only way I can get feedback to see what's going on. And that told me something very important, and that is that even though they were pushing more of the fantasy kind of story line, that there's room for, you know, an interest in a lot of different stories. So, but there isn't a direct feedback. It's not, you know, Amazon's not a social media platform. So
It looks like there's some statistics inside the KDP dashboard for Kindle Vella. That may be what you were talking about, Kim.
thank you. Yes, that is.
I don't have anything published on Vella, so I can't see what those stats are. But there is a section inside the dashboard for probably some stuff like that.
Yeah, it will show you how much interest is in how many readers are checking out each episode is what it'll do. So,
And you say that the author is paid. Is it like the library based on number of words?
yeah.
Okay.
That's what they do with that little key. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they base it on a word count. So that's why each episode had a different, when we went through it, each episode had a different number by the little key, that's what they're charged. So that's what I've got. So do we want to open it up for discussion on anything to do with what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks? And I'd like to know where people are at as far as publishing their next work as well.
I've just published 2 books this week. A second of my children's books and the third of my motorcycle books. The children's book is in review at the moment. I had the proof back, I think it was yesterday, and I went through it, and I've put it right this morning. So it's in review now, but the motorcycle one's up and running. So obviously that's sold several thousand in my imagination within one day.
There we go. In an hour. That's right. Yeah. And you're using KDP.
Oh yeah. That's all I've used. Limited success with most of the books except for the motorcycle ones. They seem to have, in the last year, they suddenly took off the way they went, well, on all cylinders, you know, being motorbikes.
It takes some time, yeah. So.
Yeah, but they just shot away. I'm just hoping the third one's going to kick in and join the others, but because they're a series, there's around about 2/3 the monthly sales of the second one. So obviously people read the first one and there's only 2/3 of those people who go on and read the second one. And so the first book, I've got 162 ratings last time I looked. But they're an average of 4 stars, whereas the second book is much closer to the 5 stars, because obviously if people like it enough to go and buy the second one, then they were the ones that were putting 5 stars on the first one.
Mhm. Which is great.
Yeah,
So
but as I say, the others just tick along slowly, and the other ones pay for the motorbike ones pay for the advertising and my website and everything, just so I can and lose some money on the Christian ones just to get them out there. So although it costs me more to advertise them and get them out there, at least they're getting out there, they're getting seen, and they are selling, but much slower, and costs me more to advertise than the revenue. But
it takes it takes time, and you find, and I find this with mine too, that they'll surge or fall surge. It just depends, kind of on the formats that you're on too. So there's so much out there, so many things, so many ways of publishing, which is really great, which is why our group is so great, because we can bring these things in, and what I don't know, and vice versa, So who's writing right now?
Yes. Editing.
Yeah.
Writing, yes.
Yeah. Right.
So I have a question.
Sure.
With Vella, if you put out, say, 3 or 4 episodes, that's not considered publishing your book, right? Or does Amazon consider that now a published?
Yes,
piece?
because at the end of every episode, you're publishing that episode. Yeah, it is a published piece, and it becomes exclusive to Amazon. And I think I made this clear, but maybe I didn't. Thank you, Kathleen. That was a great question and point. If you're publishing on Vella, it does not cross over. I think I said that, but I want to reiterate that, because that was kind of like, what, kind of to me. So it doesn't cross over to anything else, whereas the other formats they'll allow you to publish on there. So I think so. And I'm glad I ran across it yesterday. And Gordon, I think you mentioned it before a long time ago with your daughters. I think that you actually mentioned Wattpad before, didn't you?
Yeah, they wrote, there's fan fiction for pop stars and rock star. I mean, if you know of a person's name, there's fan fiction about it. And, they were writing fan fiction about a lead singer of a band they liked at one point in time and refused to let me read it. So I started a fake Wattpad account and read it. But then what you've got there is they didn't even know they were crossing genres. I mean, there was like an element of romance, an element of this band, and then there's if I'm not mistaken, I think you can tag it for that stuff, or there's even boards for it. And was getting a large number of readers, and I was getting quite jealous, despite the fact that I was making money and they weren't. I was like, you've got a better audience than I do at this point in time. What have I got to do? But right. I'm not quite ready to write rock star romance fan fiction quite yet. So, and believe it or not, if you a series that I will, you remember the whole 50 Shades of whatever series that came out? That started out as Twilight fan fiction in its original form, and then was developed into everything it was. But the whole idea behind that was the main 2 characters from Twilight, and then developed it from there. So if you're willing to let your work kind of get some open feedback, and Kim made a great point, you got to have some thick skin when you ask somebody for their opinion who's not your family. You really could develop an idea. You could say, hey, I'm thinking through this. I'm gonna put a chapter up. I'd love your feedback. And if you're interacting with other people, just like everything else, if you're interacting with others, there's a good chance they might interact with you.
Yeah. But you don't know where that'll go. I mean, you just don't know where that'll go. So that's why it's a good thing. And if get a couple bucks for it, great, you know, versus dropping it on some other platform where you're not. So I think it's a good thing, you know. It helps us to stretch ourselves as writers to have, you know, to write in different genres and to write in different ways. Short, what we talked last week about short work versus longer work. I think it really, or it helps me. It helps me become a better writer. I did a blog this week for our community, and the 500 words, and I haven't written devotionals for my editors, my publishers recently, and it kind of throws you back up again. I'm like, why is this so hard? As I'm looking at my work, but it does help you become a better, or it does me anyway, concise, clear, more concise and clear. So it's a good, any format we can just try, you know. We'll learn. So. Now, Herman, if you're publishing your first book in Phil, and you know, and you're in the throes of that, you know, just do what you're doing. You know, it's all you can do to get through that. Sometimes I know. You know,
I think a thing to remember, what I've learned over the years, is almost everything works that has any length of time on it, like Wattpad. Okay, is it going to work? Well, it's been out there for 7 years, and if it didn't work, it would be gone. So you know it works, and so you could research these kind of things. The thing that I do know is if you never try anything, nothing works.
right?
And so you got to step out there, and I can see a way with Wattpad and some of these things that you can even find your audience, you know, because a lot of people struggle with, I don't know who my audience is, it's the whole world. Well, it really isn't, because the fact of the matter is that we're in the greatest time for authors, because the greatest thing is that the internet allows us to reach the whole world.
Right.
The bad part about that is the internet allows us to reach the whole world.
Right.
And so if you don't understand that, you don't have enough money to advertise to the whole world everything that you write. You can't do it. McDonald's done it, but they've spent billions and billions, to the point when you're driving down the freeway and you see the golden arches, that's all you need to see, because you can immediately picture the building, the food, everything else. And they've paid a lot of money to do that. But most of us aren't going to do that, but we can build that small niche.
Right.
And,
that's true.
And I remember seeing a commercial years ago, I think it was Tide or something like that, but they were trying to illustrate how it worked, that if one person told two people and those two people told two people, and that's how it works. It's called exponential growth. And if you write something that people like, they will build your audience with you. So you just have to find it. There's one thing I want to toss out here before we end. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes, developing things, but one of the things that we've done with these Thursday morning meetings, but one of the things that we're doing about these Thursday mornings is that the presenter is writing a blog that week about what they presented. And then it'll go on the Christian Authors Community website, so that you can use that as a resource, because a lot of people told me, I wish I could have this in writing. So keep that in mind, that Landon's in charge of scheduling that, and what Kim's writes for the blog this week, you may not see for a week or two. Okay. But keep in mind that you can go to the blog and then you can pick up on these things and go back and read it. And it's amazing when you do that kind of thing. I probably don't have to tell you this, but you'll see things that you heard, but you didn't retain it because you may have been thinking about something else or whatever. And you'll hear things that are discussed, questions that are asked that you didn't hear during the meeting. So it's a valuable thing. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, any other questions, comments? Oh, one other thing. If there's a topic that you're struggling with or something that you want to know information about that you think will help you, let Nancy know that you would like to have that discussed or presented in a Thursday morning, and we'll get the person and get it into the schedule so you can have that. So use us. We want to be used.
Right. So,
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kim.
well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
And so, all right, everybody have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If this topic has helped you out in any way, we'd love for you to take just a second and leave us a comment or leave us a thumbs up on the video. It really goes a long way in helping us and helping the YouTube algorithm know that this is valuable content and to share it to other people. If you want to learn more about Christian Authors Community, we would encourage you to visit our website at authorscommunity.net. We hope that you guys have a wonderful day.